Good afternoon and welcome to another VLRP lesson. My name is Cynthia Mpanya. I'm your presenter today for the grade 8 and 9, and the topic or the skill that we are going to tackle today is understanding active and passive voice. Let's start with the introduction. Now, in active voice, the subject in that sentence performs the action. Mean that the subject is actively doing an action. For example, the dog chased the cat. Now, if you want to change this active voice into passive voice, we have to look at who is the receiver of the action. And in this example, the receiver of the action is the cat, meaning that the cat is our subject. The dog is chasing or chased our subject, which is the cat. So the cat receives the actions. Once the cat receives the action, the sentence is now in passive voice. Because it happened a day before, we say the cat was chased by the dog. This is just an example of the difference between a sentence in active voice and that in passive voice. Now let's go into details. How to identify active and passive voices. Remember, in the exam, the question would be rewrite the following sentence or change the following sentence into passive voice. The sentence will be in active voice. You'll have to change it into passive voice. Or alternatively, some examiners will give you a sentence in passive voice. You have to change it into active voice. But now, for today's lesson, I'm going to tackle a question which is in active voice, and to show you how we change that sentence to passive. First of all, let's start with the structure of the sentence in active voice. The subject begins the action, or the subject begins the sentence, followed by the verb, and ultimately the object. The dog is our subject, chases is our verb, and the cat is our object. If you put the three together, they will give you a coherent sentence like the dog chases the cat. Whereas the structure in passive voice follows this form. We start with the object, which is the cat, and then the form of to be, which is our auxiliary verb. Remember auxiliary verb, or a helping verb, which helps us to, or which helps the sentence to remain in the tense in which it was originally. Then followed by the past participle of the verb chases, followed by, and then ultimately the subject. Meaning when you change the sentence into passive voice, from active to passive, you start first with the object. I'm going to show you step by step how we change a subject or a sentence from active to passive voice. But these are the structures of a sentence in active and the sentence in passive. Please remember that. Very important to know the rule, the grammar rule. Now, here is the sentence now. The complete sentence will be the cat was, remember was is our auxiliary or the form of to be, chased, which is now our past participle, the past participle of chase or chases. Then we add by and then the dog. how to change or convert or rewrite a sentence from active to passive voice. For this example, I chose a sentence which is in present tense. The chef prepares the meal. Why do we say it is in present tense? Because the chef, being our subject in singular, prepares the meal. Now, the chef is actively doing an action of preparing the meal. So the meal is passively receiving the action that the chef is doing, which is prepare. Right. We said the chef is our subject, and our subject is in singular form. When I mention throughout this presentation, when I mention the number of the subject, I refer to whether the subject is in singular or plural. Then we have our verb in present tense, prepares, and our object, again, our object is in singular. Now, teachers, remember it is very important. Let your learners focus on this, the object rather than the subject when they change the sentence from active to passive, because the object is going to determine which auxiliary verb they will have to use. Now, these are the step by step that I mentioned earlier on. You first have to identify the object. It is very important. Please tell them that they must first identify the object. And in this example, the object is the meal. The second step is you move the object, the meal. You move the object to the front as the new subject. Now we have moved it to the front of the sentence. Remember, our sentence is the chef prepares the meal. Now we have moved the whole phrase, the meal, to the front. Now you identify the number of the object. That is, how many do we have? It is in singular form. In which form? It is in singular form. So it's singular. And then the tense of the verb. The object is singular and it is the sentence is in present tense. Therefore, the verb is in simple present tense. Now, very important, the object and the verb. The object and the verb must agree both in number and in person, meaning that the chef is singular and in third person. Third person singular. If the verb and the object do not agree, you are not going to get the answer correct because you are going to use the incorrect auxiliary verb or forms to be of the verb. So the object, the meal, and the verb prepares must agree both in person and in number. Now that you know that we have a singular object which is in third person and our verb is in present tense, you will have to choose which auxiliary verb to use. Now, in this scenario, the auxiliary verb will be is, because it is in present tense. The auxiliary verb indicates that the sentence is in present tense and our object is singular. So the meal is, then you change the verb prepares to the past participle form. Then the verb prepares is changed to prepared. The meal, the original subject is prepared if necessary. Then the final sentence will be the meal is prepared by the chef. Let's look at how the sentence looks like now when it is in a passive voice. We have the subject, the meal. We have our auxiliary verb is. We have our past participle of the verb, prepared. And then ultimately we have the object. Sometimes, or it is not necessary to write by the chef because you already know that the chef prepared the meal. You can only leave out the last three words there, then rewrite the sentence as the meal is prepared because we already know that the chef prepared the meal. So the meal is prepared. Ne? Remember, the meal is prepared because the meal is in singular form, third person, is auxiliary verb in present tense, and then prepared is not a past tense. It is the past participle of the verb prepares. Thank you very much for joining this lesson. I hope that you've gained some knowledge on how to convert the sentence or to change the sentence from active to passive voice. Until we meet again next time, thank you very much and keep well.